Welcome back, everybody, to this live edition of the Nine Hole Podcast. We are here at the ABCA convention in Washington, D.C. We are seeing the new products, we are seeing the companies, we are seeing the innovations in technology that are happening right in front of us. And today we have none other than Chad Miller from ID Evolution. Go Sleeves, man. We're here to talk about baseball technology, and what better way to do that. Chad, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Oh man, it's been an amazing time here at ABCA. We've obviously getting to see a lot of great partners, really talking to a lot of cool coaches and trainers and scouts and all kinds of people.
Love that, man. So how many years have you been coming here, and what is the goal of this for you guys?
I started coming to the ABCA actually in 2002. My first one was in San Antonio, Texas, when I was coaching at Penn State Beaver, small junior college in Pittsburgh, and I've been had a little hiatus there until about 2019, where I got pulled back into baseball by Coach Jeff Messer at Slippery Rock, and ever since 2019, I've been coming ever since.
Love that, man. Love that. So, as promised, man, we're here to talk about innovations in baseball technology. This is something that, as an ex-Major League Baseball player, I was old school. So baseball technology goes way over my head. So obviously, in our relationship and working with each other, you've been educational. You've educated me on everything that has to do with baseball tech.
Yeah.
I got some questions here I'd love to ask you. In the past couple of years, like in your mind, what's been the most impactful innovation in baseball technology?
I would say that's a pretty interesting question because there's several segments of technology that have really evolved. It's interesting. We've talked about this before. In medicine, if we come out with a really cool idea, let's say we find a cure for cancer. Best case scenario, we're going to get that to market in 18 to 24 months. Baseball is not that way because there's zero barrier to entry. And so what's awesome is that if you and I came up with a really cool motion capture system or ground force pressure system, we had the resources and technology and really the human element to it, we could have the market. If we did it today on Friday, we'd have the market on Monday. And so what's awesome is it's truly become an arms race. And so starting out, I think we saw the Kinetrack boom. Kinetrack is one of the most, I would say, powerful kinematic sequencing platforms on the market on a mega scale. We're talking about MLB, we're talking about large college programs such as Wake Forest and their pitching lab. They just got acquired by Sony. And so now Kinetrack is going to now merge with Hawkeye. And so you're going to have the best motion capture and kinematic sequencing platform merged with the most powerful camera system. And so now we're talking about this is like Starlink type stuff. That's wild. So that's probably the most impactful thing that will be announced, right? But I think from ground force pressure, there's amazing companies out there. I heard of one insole device is now $85. That technology last year at a minimum was going to be $3,000. So the scalability and the accessibility of technology to the general consumer now is exponential. And the biggest thing that I tell everybody, I actually had a really cool dinner last night with Jim Kerner, who's the director of player development for USA Baseball. It was the same exact conversation. We had a really cool dinner with armcare.com. What we're seeing in the ability for players to have player development scale because of technology is unprecedented.
So I've heard of all of these companies that you're talking about. Obviously, these are big name baseball companies that have a tremendous impact in technology innovation. Ben, what is an underrated baseball technology that you think, in your opinion, players and teams aren't utilizing enough?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be a little biased in this conversation.
Yes.
Number one is going to be squares, just because of the platform and our data that we have out there. We now have 42 clinically written research papers done on squares.
Huge.
I'll say this because I was a co-author on all of them. But our data that we have there is unprecedented from the standpoint of the pitching side. We go head-to-head with Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, New Balance.
Some big names.
From a hitting perspective, we've got a 5.1 mile per hour exit velocity increase at the major league level. We have a 4.8 at the college level and a 3.5 at the high school level.
That's serious.
And the reason being is the secret sauce is we're putting highly athletic people in athletic positions, and wonderful things happen when you have that equation. The second technology, again, we're sitting in their booth, which is Go Sleeve. Everybody wears an arm sleeve these days.
It's swaggy, you know what I mean? It's cool. It's what's in.
It's drip, right?
Yes. It's drip.
However, what's so cool about Go Sleeve is there's actually kinematic or K-tape impregnated into the sleeve, which allows us to actually have functionality and injury prevention and recovery built into an arm sleeve that allows us to be very, very successful.
It's the world's only
compression
kinesiology
compression sleeve.
That's wild.
Absolutely.
That's wild. So that's something that it's extremely underrated that players should be using.
100%. Every player that goes into any new facility is in Normatechs. And the problem with Normatech boots is that as a calf perspective and really draining the lymphatic system is you're tied to a chair.
Yeah.
With the Go Sleeve calf sleeve, you can walk around with it all day long and do what you need to do.
Absolutely. So obviously we are here in the Go Sleeves booth. This episode is brought to you by Go Sleeves, the world's only kinesiology compression sleeve. We talked about the drip factor. It is cool nowadays to wear arm sleeves. It's obviously in. These arm sleeves are meant to keep you on the field. These compression sleeves are meant to keep you on the field. Please go to gosleeves.com/the9hole for 15% off your order. This is serious baseball technology. Again, we're here with Chad Miller. Chad, grateful for your time, man. This is huge. When we talk about the future of baseball technology, man, do you foresee a point where technology will play a significant role that it could fundamentally change baseball and the way it's coached or managed? Do you see baseball tech changing stuff like that?
Yes. So the reason I mean is that what I used to be able to do as a hitting coach in colleges, it would take me 2 weeks to analyze a player and truly write a player development plan around that. What AI has done now, that within 35 seconds, not only can I analyze the player, I can look at where their strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats are, but most importantly, I can have a complete 6-week program planned out for them in a matter of 4 minutes. It's insane what we're able to do. And so that's all AI-based motion capture systems, such as KinetiSense. Uplift Labs is a very, very good technology. Their CEO, Masa, he was actually CEO of Tesla Japan, and now is in the motion capture space where they use 2 iPhones, and we're able to capture kinematic sequencing data that's equivalent to KinaTrack with 2 iPhones.
Dear Lord.
And so from a preparation perspective, player development perspective, and most importantly, I can tape a bullpen or your warm-up bullpen prior to your game, and it's mobile. I can do that in any mound in America.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I could actually do a kinematic sequencing update and see if player's a little sluggish. He's my starter for the game. I throw him on uplift real quick, and the next thing you know, I can actually make a game time decision based on those real-time data.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, it's insane.
Is wild. So when we talk about baseball technology, everything is tracked. Everything is monitored. There's metrics for everything. Is there something, in your opinion, that is missing? Is there something that isn't tracked, that isn't monitored, that could have a serious impact? So it's like the real question here. Are there any metrics or insights that tech hasn't been able to effectively measure, but would be a game changer if it could?
Well, impact. Actually putting a sensor on the bat barrel and being able to monitor how long we can keep the barrel connected to the ball, right? Because if you think about it, hitting is nothing more than the maximization, optimization of the force equation of physics, right? Mass times acceleration. We can monitor acceleration really, really well. But what we can't really track is mass. And so I've actually played a lot with a couple companies, one called Sensor Medica, another company called X Sensor, they're actually technologies that are found in the medical and also crash test dummy space. And so I've actually had them on bat barrels, and it's really cool because we're able to see that metric. The problem is it's cost prohibitive for a lot of people because it's about $18,000 for a system. But as technology grows and sensors become less and less expensive. That's something in the foreseeable future that I can see really making a tremendous impact on the ability to teach hitting.
That makes a ton of sense. So we talked about, at least in my point of view, I'm old school. So baseball data and baseball technology really started getting implemented on my way out of baseball, and it was tough for me to wrap my head around it. Some metrics and some stats, some forms of data I was able to understand, and some just went way over my head. When Major League Baseball players, when athletes do something that works, they tend to want to stay with it, okay? Do you think that there is a chance that athletes or baseball players become too reliant on data, and it kind of takes away from instincts, feel, any of that stuff?
It's already happened. It's absolutely already happened. And the reason why I say that is if you look at the structure of minor league baseball now and Major League Baseball, we've got a systemic problem going on right now. And that problem really surrounds at single A, double A, triple A, and even in college, you're taught to be, college isn't as bad, but really single A, double A, triple A, and independent ball, winning isn't the focal point, right? True. And if you talk to the Cubs, which organization which you're very familiar with, right?
Yep.
What was the number one problem that you saw going from AAA to the major leagues in the players' approach? Is that the players don't really know how to play the game to win at the minor league level because you're trying to play to get promoted.
That's not how that's not how you're supposed to play.
Right?
That's not the brand of baseball you need to play in order to get up.
But once you get to the major leagues, your focal point changes. Your number one responsibility in how you get your postseason share, your World Series share, or postseason is all about winning.
Doing your job.
So you got to flip the switch.
Yeah.
And so in the minor leagues, you're so dependent on analytics. Was my smash factor good? How was my on-plate efficiency? How was my exit velocity? Oh man, that was a really good swing. No, you flew out. You didn't win the game last night, so you did not have a good swing. However, you get to the major leagues, and all my big league hitters that I work with, I have to have the conversation with them about, hey, what's your job? I don't care about exit velocity right now. What I care about, you got a man on first base, did you hit the ball to the right side to advance that runner? If you hit a fly ball right now, guess what? You didn't do your job. However, your launch angle is 26 degrees at 84 miles per hour, and you flew out the warning track. That didn't do your job, did not move the runner.
That's right, 100%, man. Okay, so we talked about baseball technology, right? Bunch of innovations, man. We're flooded in baseball tech right now. If you could invent one piece of baseball technology that doesn't exist yet today, and you could just snap your fingers, have it done, but you think the game needs it, it just doesn't exist yet, what are you inventing and why?
So this is a very interesting conversation because my business partner, Alan Thomas, which we talked about before, who was the strength coach for the White Sox for 26 years, one of the things that drives me insane is the mid-thigh pull as a measurement for baseball players, right? So we're going to come in, we're going to do a pull. What movement on the baseball field does that actually represent?
Nothing that I know.
Nothing. You actually coach against it because I don't want to go straight up. I want to go forward. So one of the things that we're working on is using a dynamometer to be able to measure force at the point of contact and also force at the point of release. Because now I can, once I understand that number, I then can train to that number to help that athlete optimize that movement pattern. And to this date right now, we have dynamometers and we've got eye bolts that we're able to do that with. But and we've really worked with a company called Ball to help improve that system. But right now, commercially available and to your average facility, they're not doing that metric. They're doing this mid-thigh pull, which is complete garbage.
Yeah. So just talking about that, right? So when we're trying to exert energy on the baseball field, I'm going to make sure I don't mess this up. We want to be going this way. So like when I was hitting, I'm a runner, so I walk on my toes. My energy's going up this way. I'm explosive this way. When I would hit, like my pelvis and my force would be driving up as opposed to being efficient. Yeah. That's something that towards the end of my career we would be doing that. We would be testing that stuff. I'd be wondering like, what is this doing for me? Like, what is this doing?
So it's a again, I hate using the word twice, but it's a systemic problem. problem, right? Those are performance coaches, not baseball coaches, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that. I know it's going to come off very controversial in this podcast, but we really need to start thinking about that as an industry because we're in a position where we have the ability to really make athletes. We're in the best time in the history of baseball, hands down, bar none, right? Because we can make decisions based upon the analytics and the information that we acquire. However, if we're not making the right test for the right movement, we're going to end up making the wrong decisions.
Yes, that makes a ton of sense. Love that. Again, we're here with Chad Miller, talking about baseball technology here at the ABCA convention, day 2, right? Friday. Incredible time here, brought to you again by Go Sleeves. So, Chad, when we look ahead, 10 years ahead in the future, we got baseball technology left and right now. What looks different in the game of baseball and why because of baseball technology?
Well, one, hopefully we can make a significant impact on injury risk. I think the scouting metrics are going to change a little bit. I think there's so much data out there. You've got technologies like Proteus and things that are measuring rotational velocities. I think that's going to be a big. I think the more that performance institutes start understanding rotational movement patterns and training to those, I think that our players are going to benefit exponentially out of it.
I love that. So we see the game changing, we see the rules changing, and obviously we see baseball technology changing. Ben, what is the overall focus here as we kind of wind down? Like I said, we have day 2, we have 4 days here. And what's going to be the overall focus for you? What are the intentions for Go Sleeves, for Squares, ID Evolution, man? What are you trying to achieve here?
I'm trying to blanket canvas all baseball with the shoes. I told you this the first time we ever did an interview. I got into this to pay homage and pay tribute to my dad and my college baseball coach, two the most influential men in my life, right? And so for me, I want to contact or work with or impact 2 million players a year. If I can do that, I've won, right? And so that's my goal in having partnerships with like Dick's Sporting Goods, which will be releasing both technologies in the spring. Having partnerships and influence with the MLBPA, working with different camps and clinics, but most importantly, working with folks like yourself that are huge ambassadors of the game, and how many kids can we impact in a positive manner to make baseball the #1 sport again in not only America but the world.
Yeah,
that's my goal, my impact here.
I love that, man. I love that. So, man, I got one more question for you. When it comes to recovery, what is one recovery tip, concept, piece of advice that athletes or baseball players are overlooking or neglecting that could absolutely just change the game?
Well, one is just knowing your body, right? And understanding workload management is a big deal. Workload management can be a very positive thing, but it can also be a very negative thing. When you and I grew up, coming up through, I'm a little bit older than you, but my dad always asked me a very important question: are you hurt or are you injured? And that's one question you have to understand is this soreness for me working really, really hard last night or the day before, or am I injured and is there something going on? That's number one tip I can give to you, is understanding that piece. Number 2 is understand technology and science is there for you a reason. And it's your job as an athlete to go get tested, go get studied, understand your body better than anybody else.
I love that.
And so, and then the third tip I'll give you is utilizing products such as Go Sleep for whenever you go home. Your rest and recovery is very important. Your nutrition is very important. But most importantly, understanding how all the sum of all parts equal a whole. I can never out-eat my workout. I can never out-work out my diet, right? And so understanding those things go together.
Big time. Chad, I thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on here again, educating us, answering some questions about baseball technology. Again, this episode is brought to you by Go Sleeves. Go to GoSleeves.com/the9hole and check out for 15% off. We've been live with Darren, with Chad before. We're talking about innovations in baseball recovery, baseball technology, and today is going to be no different. So, Darren, man, I wanted to ask you right off the bat about just some recovery stuff. Talking about the big picture here. So, how is baseball technology helping improve player health, recovery, and injury prevention?
Recovery, injury prevention, and health.
Yeah, right up your alley.
Woo!
Let's
go
go.
straight into
Let's
it,
go.
man. You don't mess around.
Nope.
Like, there's no foreplay. It's just
Right in there. Right in there, man. No BS.
I love it. Look, I mean, we've been learning a lot from, as you know, our good friend, mutual friend, Chad Miller, the slugging scientist. He will forget more about how to take care of the human body and achieve performance in baseball or any sport than I will ever know. But I will try to do it justice, okay? But yeah, the bottom line is, as we go out in, this can be any sport, any athlete, any level, as we go out and we put our body under stress, trying to achieve something that is above what we've achieved before, just pushing and we got high volume. Put the body under stress, and the way it responds to that is to create inflammation, tightness, and fatigue. And each and every day that we're not taking that out of the body and reducing that back to the baseline is a day where we're increasing our risk of injury and we're definitely impacting performance. And so I think what Chad is doing and underneath the Go Sleeves umbrella together with us is really trying to figure out not just the short-term impact of performance and what's called load management, availability, but also just the long-term implications of what would happen if we're reducing injury rates that lead towards a lower quality of life in the future, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Do you have any long-term injuries that came from your playing career?
Man, so I had some impact injuries a little bit. L5. So I had a fracture on either side of my spine, and that was because my hamstrings were so tight. It was pulling on my hips, man. It kind of had everything unraveled. So it's crazy how one little thing can kind of lead to a whole bunch of different problems. You know
it's a cascade, and I mean, it's a good thing you bring that up. It's inflammation is it's kind of evil because it's infringing on our central nervous system, and then once you start to have that impingement, the potential for injury can be nothing to do with where the inflammation is occurring. So you may have inflammation at the bottom of the foundation, which is the ankle, the foot, maybe the Achilles, but it can translate into the knee, the IT, the hip, or vice versa. Right? So inflammation really every day, if this is just for anybody, if we feel soreness, that's a sign of inflammation. Inflammation, we want to attack it. We want to get it out of the body every day so that we don't have these sort of weird anomalies. Oh, why does my knee hurt? They have nothing to do with your knee. It's hard to track it down sometimes. So just a little more awareness, a little more proactivity of managing your body goes a long way.
Love that. Again, we're here with Darren Lancaster. Heads up, Go Sleeves, man. He's big time. So these products work, man. This isn't just a sleeve for swag. This isn't just for drip. These products are meant to keep you on the field, Darren. So we're in the same room right now, recording some content, man. I would love if you could give me a little demonstration, just to see how this stuff works, man. I would love to see it.
Let's do it. So we have 3 form factors. We got a calf sleeve. We got an elbow sleeve. Flip it over. We've got a knee sleeve, and we've got some really cool lighter weight garments and apparel coming out that have the kinesiology technology built in. I'll show you the calf sleeve because this is the one that we've done the most recent performance study on together with Chad.
I have the most experience with this and
love it.
These calf sleeves are
when I finish my story, you got to tell your story.
Okay. All right,
it's pretty convincing. So inside of the calf sleeve, when you turn these inside out, what you've got is, if you can kind of see this glistening material inside here, this is medical grade silicone. this is where your calf muscle is going to be. This is where your Achilles is going to be. On the other side here is where your outer gastro or your shin splints. So as this sleeve stretches, just like kinesiology tape, it goes on the skin, it's creating what's called skin drag. So as you move, it is dragging your skin, as uncomfortable as that sounds, it's beneficial. What it's doing is, besides creating support and kind of a nice, warm, comfy hug, so you feel more confident, it's also opening up the capillaries. So imagine your capillaries going from a 1-lane highway to a 4-lane highway, your lymphatic drainage system going from a 1-lane to a 4-lane highway. That is just helping the body do what it does naturally to recover from inflammation, tightness, and fatigue. So we open all those channels up through the skin drag, and as you recover in it, or as you play in it, you're experiencing less inflammation, tightness, fatigue. That leads to performance. So can I go into the speed study?
Please.
Performance study?
Please.
And then you're going to tell your story.
Please.
Right.
I swear.
So we got a bunch of kids doing a speed camp for baseball. They're in the calf sleeves for 3 to 4 hours. We measure the risk of fall before and after. And at the end of the event, the kids that are in the go sleeves, the risk of fall is 0.4%. The kids that are not in the go sleeves, their risk of fall is 16.2%. So it's a 98% difference in their risk of fall. And the implications of that in terms of like imbalance, so that's just indicating that we have imbalance issues based on fatigue, whatever's going on in the body and how it's responding to that stress we put them under. But that imbalance creates some interesting things in baseball. Chad has shown through a study that when you have fatigue and imbalance, you start to have a head tilt towards the dominant eye side, or the dominant side. Yep. If you're right-handed, you got that head tilt. I think he's told you about this before.
Sure. Which is crazy.
So you got some susceptibility there now to breaking balls, and then you've also got breakdowns and decrease in rotation and velocity. So as a thrower, the timing starts to get off, you start to get late. As a hitter, stack and imbalance, the force isn't quite there, and then you've got more injury susceptibility. So that's just wearing this stupid, simple little sleeve that happens to be pretty cool, high tech. So that's my story. It's crazy. How about you? What you got?
It's crazy. So my story, man, I try to stay in shape. After I'm done playing baseball now, the way that I stay in shape is I just run, right? So in order for me to stay fit, I got to go to the gym, and I have to run miles, which absolutely sucks. I hate running, right? Man, after a while, I start to feel my calves give way a little bit. Man, I end up pulling a muscle in my calf, and then I just tweak my other one. I give about a week or two off, man. I go through my prehab, my exercises, all this stuff that the trainers were kind of giving me through spring training and during the season. Kind of reverted to my old training, if you will. Nothing seemed to be working, man. Gave it 2-3 weeks, nothing. Tried it again. Injured myself again, man. So this was right around the time I got introduced to Scott over at Go Sleeves, man. Got some sleeves on. Got back like I didn't even miss any time. It was crazy. So as soon as I put these on, it felt like my skin was moving, right? Which is crazy. The rest is kind of history, man. So that was my story. It was a huge impact. I didn't get an opportunity to try the arm sleeve in my career, but if the calf sleeve is any indication on what kind of impact it has, I know that's the elbow sleeve is going to be extremely beneficial, man.
Absolutely with throwers, and if you think about the inflammation that's built up, again, I keep saying the word, but that is the magic as you're putting volume on the arm. You think about each day as your activity and volume goes up, the inflammation goes up, and then it goes down and up and down, and each one of those waves is putting pressure on that UCL.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like putting it under pressure. It's becoming more fragile, more brittle. So when they say, a lot of volume on the arm, it's really the inflammation that is the issue. So if we can reduce the magnitude and the frequency of the inflammation, so instead of this, it's maybe this, a little less, a little less, a little less, and you get that a little more life out of that UCL. That's really what we're aiming for. So the preventative side of this, and I mean, you've seen the kids and the volume that they're putting on their arms these days. There's barely an off season anymore. So
No kidding. Well, again, we are here with Darren Lancaster, highlighting the ABCA, our experiences here, talking baseball technology. Darren, thank you very much for your time, man. Let me kind of run you through some questions, man. Thank you for opening up about the baseball technology, talking about those sleeves, man. So thank you very much.
Appreciate the work you're doing, man. And, we're going deep